Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I don't know why teams are doing this particular thing. I don't think I've ever seen this in the history of the NBA draft. But it has been announced that all three of the first three picks have been locked in. All three teams are in agreement that they're not going to make any trades and that they're going to select these three players in this particular order: Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, and Paolo Banchero. And I don't think I've said his name correctly yet, but I'm sure I'll figure it out soon enough. Banchero's going to the Rockets, and so on and so forth. Of course, Smith is going to Orlando, and Holmgren's going to OKC. So that is what's locked in right now. Now, could that actually change? Of course. Why? Because somebody could call him up and say, hey, I want to offer you the greatest player of all time for number one pick in the draft. And Orlando's going to be like, yep, and that's what's going to happen. So anything could happen. But as of right now, all three teams at the top of this draft are reported to have their selections in place. There should be no surprises. That's what we're thinking. There should be no surprises. But I always leave room for surprises. Always. This is what I would prefer. I want Chet Holmgren to go to OKC because, as I've told you guys before, I think the potential of matching him up with Poku is very intriguing to me, because I think they have two ridiculously tall and long players that they could put on the floor that play both sides. And I just love the idea of having both of them at the beginning of their careers. I think that could be like a Cleveland type of situation with Allen and Mobley, but just in different positions. Holmgren's a center, Poku's a four. So I guess. But then you look at those two players, okay, you just write them off as players who are going to be disruptive at all times. And you got Dort down there. He's disruptive at all times. And you got Trey Mann, who I think is a fantastic offensive player at this point, who's going to take a big jump at some point. You got Wiggins, who's a player that I haven't done enough talking about, but made a huge breakout after coming in from the G League. He's somebody who you expect to have a huge role with the Thunder. They got so many different young players. Their team is just loaded with young players. SGA, Giddy, God, it goes on and on forever, man. I can't even think of all the names they got. Dort, God, what's the guy's name? I can't think of it. But they got plenty of young talent, and now they're going to add him to that situation. I love it for them. Orlando, adding Jabari Smith, I think that's an excellent fit. They already know what that looks like because they had Rashard Lewis for many years in his prime. They're pretty much the same type of player. It's going to be fantastic having a player like that back in the league, a pure, tall, straightaway shooter. I'm really excited about what Jabari Smith can do in that situation. I wonder what they're going to do with some of the players that they have, though. They have a lot of players in Orlando, kind of a logjam in different areas. So I think they could use some condensing with their roster, and you may see them make a move or two in the offseason, try to do that. So keep an eye open for them. I don't know if Mo Bamba will be returning there. Same with Markelle Fultz. I'm not certain. So I'm looking at that. And then, of course, you look at the Rockets, and like I've always told you guys, I think the Rockets have one of the best young cores I've ever seen. You talk about what they're adding with Banchero, and, of course, the core that they already have with Porter and Green and Tate, Martin. You know, it goes on and on with those guys. Sengun, and even another lottery pick that they picked in the back of the draft. I forgot his name, but he's a defensive player and a big. So the amount of lottery talent that the Rockets have put together is overwhelming. And you're adding this Blake Griffin type of player who can pretty much score from anywhere. It's going to be scary. Now, defensively, I have my questions because he's not that great of a defensive player. And some of the other players on their team naturally are not defensive players. So I think they're getting off to a more of an offensive start to their core. But nevertheless, there's such high-level talent there in Houston that I think if they all fully develop, they could very easily be the NBA champion 5-6 years from now. It's that serious. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see them develop and grow. So that's what I think, man. For me, I want to tell the NBA to just don't ever do this again. It's okay to let me know who the first pick in the draft is going to be 5 hours ahead of time, but don't let me know who the first three picks are going to be 5-6 hours ahead of time. That takes away a lot of the suspense and the fun from the event itself. So, yeah. Is this the first time teams have known who they're going to draft? No, but this is the first time they've renounced all of this at once. So I don't like it. I don't like it. And I'll tell you something else. Sacramento probably should just go ahead and lock in Jaden Ivey. I told you guys that I wasn't sure if they should keep the pick because I felt like if they trade it, they could probably get better by adding a certain type of player that makes a little more sense for the timeline. That was before I did enough homework on Jaden Ivey to realize exactly how win now he can be. He's coming in immediately, and he's going to basically have the athleticism of a Ja Morant right away, and he's taller than Ja. So it's one of those situations where I don't know if he has all of Ja's attributes, but in terms of his speed and athleticism, ability to slash at the basket and jump over people, he has that out the gate immediately. And he's also very good defensively from what I understand. So I actually like Jaden Ivey more than I like Paolo Banchero based on what I've seen. Paolo's deficiencies defensively kind of scare me a little bit in terms of what his upside's going to be. But he's still a hell of a scorer. I think Jaden Ivey has less questions than probably Chet as well in some ways, based on what you see from Chet and his body type and whether or not he'll be able to put on the strength to really be able to bang with some of the players he's going to be tasked with defending over the years. So for me, I think Jaden Ivey is as good as any of those top 3 players after doing homework on him, and I totally, vehemently disagree with my previous take telling the Sacramento Kings to trade the pick. They most definitely must not trade the pick now that I am aware of exactly who Jaden Ivey is and what he brings to the table. It ain't to be messed with. In fact, I think the Rockets should probably take him over Paolo anyway. Low-key, I think they should. I really do. That dude is that damn serious of a player. He's not... Put it like this. It is evident right now that is a perennial all-star. It is evident right now. I can't say I'm certain of that for Chet. I can't say I'm certain of that for Jabari. I can't say that. I just know that they have certain metrics and certain levels, things that they can do with their game that make them can't miss talent. But I don't actually believe that they're going to make more all-star teams than Jaden Ivey after watching the highlights from Ivey that I've seen over the last 24 hours. That dude is going to be an all-star, and he's going to be an all-star right away. This is like Donovan Mitchell over again. Like, are you sure you want to let 3 people go by without taking this guy? Are you sure? That's my honest opinion about Jaden Ivey after doing homework. I'm not. I do like the fit of those top 3 guys, but a part of me thinks he's probably going to be better than all 3 of them. Just being real. Just after watching so much basketball, seeing so many different drafts, sometimes the guard really is the guy you should have took. But I don't know. We'll see. Jabari's shooting ability is not to be toyed with, and Chet's defensive ability is not to be toyed with, and Bancharo's scoring ability from literally everywhere is not to be toyed with. But they all have certain weaknesses. I look at Jaden Ivey and I say from his position, he don't have as many weaknesses from his position, in my opinion, because he's going to get easy buckets. I mean easy. He ain't going to stop that dude at all. At the bucket. I'm telling you, Sacramento, do not hesitate to draft Jaden Ivey. If he's available at 4, do not trade him. Ignore what BDF said in that video when I said that. I didn't know what I was talking about in regards to Jaden Ivey. Period. No, get him. So that's what I got to say, man. That is exactly what I have to say. There are a lot of good, talented players in this draft, even all the way down in the 20 range, 21 range. I see some guys that probably shouldn't be passed on. And I'm going to do a little more homework, of course, before the draft, try to brush up on my understanding of these players. So that is what I got. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.